I think coming from an immigrant background, you have different mindset. You have a mindset that maybe others are better than you, or you're not qualified to do that. And when I was especially starting my business, that turned up to be imposter syndrome. And I just thought that was the normal way of living. And then when I started discovering self development and really self development practices, that's when I really started to think, hey, this isn't normal. It's not normal to think like that. Just because I was new to this country, I think I also just got in that habit of thinking these other people are better than me because they've been here longer, or this is where they were raised. I'm the outsider. So I grew up with that kind of mindset. And it wasn't until I discovered self-development practices that helped me to break through.
Great title for a podcast, Blessings.
Thank you. Yes, I love it.
What a great meditation.
We are here to learn in the spirit of life.
I'm all about believe. You're about spreading blessings. It's great.
What about your blessings? What's the biggest blessing of life?
What a great question.
Because it's the Blessings podcast, I have to ask you, what is your biggest lesson in life?
My biggest lesson in life.
A whole lot of conversations with people about life and how those things manifest as blessings and lessons, and sometimes both.
It's my connection.
You're going to get schooled.
The journey is the journey.
What you and me are searching for are the blessings in this life.
Remember the reality of how sweet people are.
Spread blessings around the world.
You are the most remarkable energy. You make me pause, make me excited, make me think, and make me spontaneously come up with an answer. This is another one of those great moments in time in my life. Thank you for reaching out to ask if I would do the show.
Welcome back to Blessings, friends. Some people really know how to get the most out of life, and today's guest has modeled her lifestyle and career on that premise. She moved to the US from Italy when she was only 9 and had to learn a new language and assimilate to an entirely different way of life. By the time she was 20, she discovered the secret to fulfillment and went after it through a process of intentional growth and setting high standards for herself. She's building a legacy now by growing a community of folks who want to be seen and make an impact in the world. She says, success is not about following the latest trend. It's about honoring your story and building something that lasts. Welcome, Diane Marie Pisera, to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. So, what do you want your legacy to be after your business is gone?
So after my business is gone, I would want my future family and future generations to remember me as the person who brought more of a self-development and mindset work to the family. I think especially when you come from an immigrant family, you get the good and you get the bad, like everybody else. So you get all those beautiful traditions that you want to keep and carry on, but you also get those negative beliefs that you have to just dismantle little by little. And I want to be that breaking point for my future family.
That reminds me of something that's been a focus for me too. And I don't know if your family lineage, I'll rephrase, because the way that I look at it is, for me, I am the family liberator. That I am the person who is freeing my family from the things in past generations that have held us back or caused trauma. So like my mother was an immigrant. She came from England and she had a lot of trauma in her childhood. And so her way of dealing with that was to not talk about it. She thought she was protecting us, but family wounds have a way of perpetuating. So for the family of a person who has immigrated to the United States from another country, there are things that have to be worked out for the future generations. What would you say to that? And what are you trying to establish for your future family?
For sure, I relate to what you said so much. And I definitely feel like I have a similar role than the role that you have taken on for your family. I think coming from an immigrant background, you have different mindset. You have a mindset that maybe others are better than you, or you're not qualified to do that. And when I was especially starting my business, that turned up to be imposter syndrome. And I just thought that was the normal way of living. And then when I started discovering self development and really self development practices, that's when I really started to think, hey, this isn't normal. It's not normal to think like that just because I was new to this country. I think I also just got in that habit of thinking these other people are better than me because they've been here longer, or this is where they were raised. I'm the outsider. So I grew up with that kind of mindset. And it wasn't until I discovered self-development practices that helped me to break through, and also to just observe when other people in my family were doing similar things and had that similar mindset. Then it really helped me to make that connection.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. The idea that imposter syndrome is really a person believing they are an outsider. Wow. That puts it into a
Yeah.
whole new perspective. When you feel like you're an outsider, that you don't belong, that other people belong there and you don't. And that can be if that's happening in your life, that can translate then over to everything you do in your business.
Exactly.
So, what was one of the main things you found helpful to get that out of your mindset?
For me, like I said before, just practicing and learning about self development has been life changing. I started when I was 20 by reading books. I started reading books on self development, and I started because I was very much unhappy. I was going to college. I was not in a major that I knew I was actually going to use. And I just felt very unhappy. The whole college culture just pushed everyone to party and go have fun. And that lasted for maybe a year or two, but for me, it stopped being fulfilling. And I was just very much alone. I felt like I was watching my classmates and everyone gets so excited because senior year was approaching and they were having the best time. And I just wasn't. So I knew something was off. I also just knew something from my family life. Like there just had to be a better way of living and of doing things. I just knew that I didn't know any better. So I just turned to books because I always loved to read. Since I was a child, I loved to read. So for me, going to a library and picking up a self development book just felt very natural to me. And I just trusted whatever those books said. I said, you know what? I'm like, I don't know any better, but it made sense to me. I'm like, this makes sense. And it just snowballed. And then when podcasts started to become popular and audiobooks started to become popular, I basically also started to take that approach to it. So I pretty much evolved myself through like self development books, podcasts, different practices that they were talking about, like journaling, meditating. And no one in my family till this day does any of that stuff. So I am still the oddball out doing these practices and practicing self development and learning about it just because that's not something that we were just raised to do. And we were not taught that stuff in school. So unless you do your own work, then you don't have any way to just finding out about it.
Yeah. Self-development is the real education. That's what I
Yes,
think.
I agreed.
So how old are you now?
I'm 31.
Okay. So over the past basically 10 years,
Yeah.
you've really focused on this personal growth, self-development stuff.
Yes. And it's funny because obviously I wanted to see like results and wanted to better myself. But for me, it was just very interesting and just fun that I
Mhm.
always just did it. And a lot of people, even when I say like I read self development books, they'll say, why don't you read like a romance novel? Why don't you read something lighthearted? And I'm like, it's boring. I don't like it. I want to read my self development. Like for me, this is fun. I enjoy this.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's nothing more fascinating than figuring yourself
Exactly.
out and finding out how you can be the best version of yourself. And like,
Exactly. And how I can help others. That's my
yes,
other. I always say, if you want to help others, then practice and influence others versus me just telling you what to do and how to do
yes,
it. I can just show it. And then if someone is interested, then they'll come to me because I am truly influencing them.
that's right. Yes. So do you remember when you were 9 and you came here, when you first came to the
Yes.
US?
Yes.
Can you tell us the story and like how you felt?
So I came here with my mom. My parents got divorced when I was 8. So from 8 to 9, it was a transitional year. I moved from I used to live in northern Italy. I'm originally from southern Italy. So from 8 to 9, I moved with my grandparents in southern Italy. So it was pretty much a transitional year. And then when I was 9, my mom and I moved to the States, to New York, in the suburbs. My cousins and my aunt and uncle were already here. They moved years prior. And they moved more because they were looking for more opportunities here, while my mom and I moved because my parents got divorced. So it was a way for my mom to actually escape her divorce and escape that trauma. So that was how we got here. My mom actually was born here in the States and moved to Italy when she was 4. So she was already an American citizen. So it was very easy for me to get all the paperwork done to stay in the US because my mom was born here. And when we first came here, I was obviously scared. It was a big year of change. I not only went to to a different country, I didn't know English, I didn't know the culture, and I was also just dealing with my parents' like traumatic divorce and dealing with my father calling me and just not saying nice things. And just it was a time of just fear and just newness. Like I went from living in a house in Italy to living like in a basement of a house. So it was a lot. I felt like everything was taking away from me pretty much.
Oh, so when you came here, what was the biggest difference you noticed in terms of the culture?
So, first of all, I thought everything was just bigger here. I was like, okay, I'm like, this is everything in Italy. It's a smaller country, so everything is condensed. So I felt, wow, everything is bigger here. But one of the biggest, I think, culture was the food. I remember just bringing like my little Italian sandwiches, like Nutella sandwiches, and people didn't know what that was. This was like early 2000s, so different culture all around. And there was just like a lot of the food was a big one for me. I remember I went to someone's house and I was always, for example, brought up that family eats dinner together at a dinner table. So for me, that was the normal. Like everyone in Italy that I knew did that. I thought that was just what everyone did. And I remember going to like my friend's house and seeing like them eat in their bedrooms. And I remember calling my mom, like I was a child, freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're eating in their bedroom. Is this okay? Like my mom, like I was a 9-year-old girl that to me, that was just, you know, bizarre because I was not used to it. So that was a big one for me. And we still laugh about it now because it was so funny. The call was so panicky for no reason. But I remember it was just so different. And I was a child. And I saw that. I was like, okay. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, people do that. It's okay. But from a 9-year-old perspective, it was like a big change for me. And just school was a little bit more fun here. There was more focus on art, music, sports. And while they do that in Italy as well, they don't do it as much they did. And like when I went to school in the US, you got to play an instrument and I really enjoyed that. But in Italy, if you wanted to play an instrument, you would have to go through private lessons. That wasn't something that was offered in school. So I really enjoyed that part of school. And I think that's what really helped me to make the transition a lot easier because I felt like I was doing something creative and fun. And I was like, wow, this is so cool that I get to do this.
Oh, that's it's really interesting to hear about the differences there and the impression that people have when they come over to the US. I've never been to Italy, but I've been to other parts of Europe. And I think for me, the thing that strikes me is just the old world beauty, the charm. I don't think we have as much charm.
Yeah.
I mean, we have charm,
Yeah.
but you have to go looking for it.
Yeah, I think here you have to go to the place to see, while there you
Yes,
can just
everything's
walk.
charming.
Exactly.
Right.
It's just also an older country, so there it's just a normal. While here you have to make it a point to go to these certain like landmarks to see them.
Yeah. So were there any personality traits that you have that you felt were inherently Italian that you kept that helped you in the transition?
I think for till this day, we speak Italian at my house. We pretty much cook all the same foods we cooked in Italy. So the food part, like I said before, is a big one for me. And I like to keep that, especially because it's a way for me to continue like my grandparents' legacy. I used to cook with my grandmother all the time and make stuff with her. So it's really like fun for me to do that. So that's definitely something that I keep doing. And also, it's just not also do I feel that it's really just a way of honoring tradition, but it's also just a lot healthier. So for me, it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
What do you think that we in the United States can learn from the Italians?
Definitely a lot of the healthy food culture and just the like a good having a good balance. I think that's what they do really well in like multiple ways. Like for example, like the food. In my opinion, it's not worth cutting something out completely, but having a really good balanced diet, whatever means for you, I think is just the best way, but just eating very whole ingredients and really looking at what's being put in like all the food in the States. So that's something I do all the time. And I try to get the most simple ingredients possible, just because then I know that it hasn't really been processed. So that's something that I do. But just in general, I feel that sometimes here in the US, like we're workaholics, like all of us are, like we're all guilty of it. But just incorporating just like that mindful, I guess, like intentional living is what I call it. Just like going out for a walk, like even if it's after dinner, like instead of always being glued to your computer or maybe watching your favorite Netflix show or just being on your phone, like there's nothing wrong with that. But just taking like a 15-minute walk instead of just going from like, I don't know, work to your couch and then going to bed. So
Right.
so that's something that I always do and I love doing it. Even I tip especially on a Friday because then I feel like I can get a longer walk, but that's something that I love to incorporate. And it's just, especially when you do it with family, it's a nice time to catch up and just get to know someone.
I agree. I love that. I feel
Yeah.
like that's something they do in Europe is
Yeah.
more, they have more, I love your phrase, intentional living. They enjoy one another. They enjoy
Yeah.
meal times or special times.
Yeah. So that's pretty much like the life I live. And I'm very blessed that my fiance has very similar background to me. So we do the same thing. We go walking and we cook. So I'm very blessed to have found someone like that. I'm able to just also just continue that through.
Yeah. And so you're getting married soon.
Yes.
Can you tell us your love story?
Yes. So I'm getting married in August. I'm getting married in Italy, in southern Italy, in Calabria. It's perfect because so my fiance also moved from there. We met in high school. We
Oh,
met in high school. We did not date in high school. We didn't even speak in high school. He sat behind me in earth science class. Apparently, my hair was all over his desk, which I did not know. But we never talked. I was very shy, just wasn't going to talk to him. We were in different grades, but we just happened to be in the same class. And then we reconnected in college just because, again, we knew each other from high school. We had class together. We dated on and off in college, and then we dated seriously starting 2020. And one thing we did, it was peak of COVID, was just go on walks. We would go hiking and we would just go walking. And that also that stuck because we still go walking all the time. We go, I like every Friday night I go walking, like we do long walks. But so that tradition stuck. But that allowed us to say, okay, like we obviously dated on and off in college. Like, what are we doing here? Is this serious? It really allowed us to get to know each other at a deeper level. And as much as COVID was like such a dark time for everybody, that really forced us to say, look, this is the only activity we can do. Everything is closed, or we don't feel safe doing what I guess you would normally do when you first start dating someone again. So we were just forced to be outside, forced to just go walking. And then we ended up like loving it even more, that now we continue to do that. So that was pretty much all of like 2020, 2021. We took our first trip to Italy. So that was fun. And we just got serious like over the years. But like we knew, again, going into it, because we were very intentional, that, okay, if we're going to date, like we're going to date with the intention of marriage. So then last year, in summer of 2023, he proposed at my favorite place in Italy, in Calabria. So he proposed there. It was just, I would say it was the best day of my life.
Aw.
And now I'm planning the wedding. I was going to say we're planning the wedding, but I'm planning the wedding for next August.
That's amazing. What a
Yeah.
beautiful story.
Yeah.
So does he speak Italian?
He speaks Italian. He's also an immigrant. He moved when he was 6.
Oh.
And our towns are in Italy are 40 minutes apart.
That's crazy that you would meet here.
Exactly. So it's a little bit of a crazy story. And whenever we tell people, whenever we go to Italy, people are just confused because they're like, okay, you speak Italian perfectly, but you speak English perfectly. Who are like, what's going on here? So we always have to explain our whole life story, but it's fun.
It's a beautiful story.
My dad is 83 years young. Every morning, he sends my sister and I and all his grandchildren a good morning message. It's always something uplifting, positive, and encouraging. And it always says, I love you. We all look forward to this, and we know that Granddad won't be around forever. So we really cherish these messages of love and empowerment. My dad loves to say, every day is a new opportunity. And that is what he taught me. That, along with how to work smarter, hold family dear, and go after my dreams. I know there are people out there who go through the motions every day with no one saying good morning, no encouraging word, and to support a positive mindset. And there are others who are doing all the right things, but still need a little nudge to create and maintain positive habits throughout the day. So in my dad's honor, I've created Your Positive Moment. Research clearly shows the benefits of positivity and connection. A recent Gallup poll showed a significant percentage of the world is lonely. Your Positive Moment solves these problems. These are messages that come directly to your phone first thing in the morning, so you can begin every day on a high note. The message includes a loving greeting, an affirmation, a daily reflection, and an easy action step to get you going in the direction of growth and fulfillment and transformation, and to help you stack up good habits. A simple daily message has the power to change your life. Get started with your beneficial morning message habit for free. yourpositivemoment.com.
One of the things I really love about you is that you put yourself, your whole authentic self out there. So your business, just so people understand, is as a coach and consultant, you work a lot with people on cultivating their LinkedIn profiles and their LinkedIn experience. And you also work with people on personal development and personal growth and business growth. So in the process of that, though, you are very big into branding as an expression of your whole person, your whole personality. Yes. And I love that. So I see you putting out information about your clothing, your outfits, your things that you're collecting from Italy for your home. Like you have these beautiful pieces of pottery and you're very into those traditional core values. So it's very easy for people to see exactly who you are. And I love that. So I'm wondering, where do people go wrong when they are, quote, branding themselves?
I think a lot of people, to be honest, are scared. I
Mm,
think they're scared to let people in. I think they're scared that other people are going to judge them. So they put this facade as I see what everybody else in my industry is doing, or especially on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I have to be in a suit and blazer. And I think as an entrepreneur, we all start like that. But then little by little, you're why? Why do I need to be in a suit and blazer? I wouldn't wear that. I would probably be in like a sundress and sandals. So that's exactly how I'm going to show up. And I think that's the biggest thing is like people are like, who do I need to be to like on Instagram? Who do I need to be on LinkedIn? Who do I need to be on TikTok? But for me, like it was always like just keeping that also just the same because that is the only way I know how to be because that's myself. So, yes, I can talk about self development. I can talk about LinkedIn marketing and all of that. And I truly love that. But at the same time, I also love, my like the pottery that I just bought in Italy. And I'm going to share that because that's exciting for me and that shows my personality. So, and I also feel like whenever you're trying to just grow your business, clients aren't just going to want to work with you because you provide the best service, but because they like who you are. And maybe, you know what? Okay, I like that she is building a home like this. I like that she is doing this and she believes in this. So I'm going to work with her because I see a piece of myself when she puts out content. So for me, it's very weird when people try to be like, have different kind of personalities on different platforms. So for me, it's very much it's like that fear of and that really holds them back from branding and being like their true selves.
I think you're absolutely right. The idea of trying to make yourself fit into a place never
Exactly.
feels right. Like you never feel like you fit.
It's not
The
aligned.
No. And the only way to have that alignment is to just be you, be the fullest expression of you.
Exactly.
Do you think that integrating your lifestyle into your brand is like the secret sauce to success?
I think so. I think it's also just more fun, to be honest. I'll be honest. I'm like, I don't want to talk about LinkedIn and personal development all the time. I love it. I could talk about it all day, but I also just, I don't know, love like a good fall candle that I bought. I want to share that. For example, I think it's A, more fun and B, like it lets people in like a different way to get to know you. And it also just differentiates yourself. You could be competing with everybody else in the same industry and you, but when you add your personality and when you add your lifestyle to it, that's how people really get to know you and connect with you at a deeper level.
That's true. So you have on your website, I read this, that brands should be a combination of heart and soul. What did you mean by that?
So when I say that is okay, like your brand should really be an essence of who you are. And when you're doing something that is truly aligned with your core values, that's when I bring a different level of passion to it. But you're also just going to feel so good doing it that it's not going to feel heavy. A lot of times people feel like in their work, they feel stressed and they feel heavy. But when you're doing something and when you're branding yourself with exactly who you are and like you love really helping people with whatever like you do, then that's when your brand is really going to come to life and really showcase itself in like the most beautiful way possible.
True. I agree. So why did you choose to specialize in LinkedIn?
So I have a marketing background. I have my MBA in marketing, and I started originally on Instagram. And I always felt that, yes, Instagram is a great platform to grow your business, to grow your brand. But I also felt like there had to be another way to reach other professionals for other opportunities, like a speaking engagement, like booking clients or like a media feature. And I, for somehow, always just landed back to LinkedIn saying, okay, this is a lot of people don't talk about it. I had a profile since college because the guidance counselor told me, okay, so you should like work on your LinkedIn to get a job after college. So I had a profile from college, like many people do. But I decided to work on LinkedIn because I felt like there was a lot of entrepreneurs going back to that fear that were maybe fearful of putting themselves out on Instagram, on TikTok, and were struggling to grow their business. So I felt, okay, we could tackle this obviously from mindset work, which is what I help clients to do. But I also thought, okay, what about if we add a little bit more of the LinkedIn professionalism to that as well to make it a little bit easier than saying, hey, just record the next reel trend and hope it goes viral. Okay, we can still do that. That's fine if you're comfortable. But if you are a little bit more comfortable being like a little bit more professional and still obviously grow visibility and grow your business, like this is a different avenue that we can go through. And I also just wanted to differentiate myself from other coaches that do similar work that maybe focus on TikTok, on Instagram. I wanted like a different avenue that people could just come to me for because they know that this is what I specialize to do.
Yeah. And what is one of the top things that you see, the top mistakes that you see people making on LinkedIn?
The top mistake people see, it's their content. Their content is just very dry because that's what they feel like they need to do on this platform. It's maybe just talking about like their accomplishments and it's not doing anything. It's not giving anything. When I started LinkedIn, especially like the approach I took was I'm going to use the exact same brand photos I use on Instagram. I'm not changing them. So if I'm wearing a sundress and I have an espresso cup in my hand, that's what it is. Those are my brand photos. That's what I have. I'm not doing this suit and blazer situation because that's not me. And I'm not retaking photos for LinkedIn. I said, no, these are the photos I took. This is my brand. And that's how I'm going to show up. If they like it, if they don't like it, they're not going to follow me. That was the mindset I went in with LinkedIn. And then also just providing more education. So a lot of people on LinkedIn either just talk about their accomplishments or try to sell you things. And I said, okay, this, I don't know, doesn't work. It's not doing anything. I would never just buy from someone that is just sending me a cold pitch DM. And it felt very dry. It just felt it wasn't a very warm and welcoming environment. And then I started to post more educational content, actually showcasing my expertise, showcasing what I know, using my brand photos, which popped because everybody else is in a suit and it's like the same laptop photo. Mine had a little bit more of an aesthetic to it because they were originally taken for Instagram. So they had a little bit of a more lifestyle aesthetic to it. And that worked. So that is probably like my biggest piece of advice. Don't like just post your promotion. Don't post like your latest like accomplishment and use a boring photo. Especially if you have the content from another platform, just provide educational value just to build that kind of like no trust factor.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do people see that? Because I feel like on LinkedIn, it has to be people you're connected with.
You could obviously, the people that are connected are going to be your first degree connections. But a lot of times, what's really good about LinkedIn is that if people comment or reshare your work, then that's going to get more eyes on your content. Also, if you are commenting on other people, especially if they're in your industry and providing really thoughtful and meaningful comments versus just saying like, this is great or I love this, then other people like who might be interested in the other person's content are going to say, oh, wow, like this person really provided a lot of value. They seem to be in the similar field. If I like this person's content, I might also like what they're about. So they might just click on your profile, and that can spark like the curiosity and say, okay, if I'm in the self development area and I'm just going to comment on someone else that maybe has a bigger account that's in the similar field, and I'm providing really good feedback and really good points on that, on their post, then someone reading might say, oh, wow, like this person really commented something really meaningful. Who are they? Let me check out their profile.
Yeah. LinkedIn is an interesting landscape to me. And I know we've had conversations about
Yes.
LinkedIn, and I haven't really utilized it to its full potential just because I've had so much to focus on. And it is really an interesting place to find connections. But you just said something interesting, that you would never buy anything from someone who sent you a cold DM.
Right.
So what's a better strategy for people to get people to buy things from them?
I think what I usually teach my clients to do is, first of all, you're going to build up your reputation by creating really good educational content. So let's start with that. And then if you see people that are commenting or maybe are connecting with you, people that are showing interest, then yes, then like that gives you the opportunity to start a conversation. And instead of just saying, hi, buy my course, it's, hi, thank you for commenting. Thank you for connecting with me. Like, how can I help you? Maybe if you have a freebie, I always say send them the freebie, get them on your email list. And then maybe follow up in a couple of weeks, say, hey, how did you like, I don't know, my webinar? How did you like my tracker? Whatever. But that just feels a little bit more, I think, welcoming and just more normal. Like, I don't know. I always think, well, if I don't, like, if I was going to a networking event, would I just walk in and start to just say, hi, my name is Diane Marie. Like, I can help you with, here you go. Here's my business card, book a call with me. Like, I would never do that. I would want to start a conversation with them first. I would want to at least know, are they even looking for someone to help them? Am I even the right fit? Are they the right fit for me? So I just think that whole approach is just, it's very odd to me, but a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, do it. So that's why I mentioned that.
Yeah. I think it's hard because that is a lot more work.
Yes.
It takes a lot of time to build a relationship and to get to know people.
Exactly. So it's definitely the harder way. Again, I never bought anything from a cold DM. So for me, I'm like, if I wouldn't buy anything, why would someone else? So that was just the mindset I go into it.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. I don't even read those emails.
Exactly. I'm just like, okay, you're trying to sell to me. Goodbye.
Right. I know. But on the other hand, though, I'm always looking to find out how can I reach people who might want what I have to offer? And you're not allowed to send a lot of DMs. You can't do that on LinkedIn. You can't do a lot of cold DMs to people you're not connected with. On any platform, you'll get marked out for spam. And so how can you find your audience?
For me, it's content creation. When you create content and people are interested, then they're going to connect with you. They're going to follow you because they like your content. So like it is by choice. And then if you message them, like even send like, I love a good voice note. Send a voice note like, thank you for following me. And that at least starts a conversation. Or like, I don't know, if they have their story up on Instagram and you want to reply to their story, like that's going to actually just, feel a little bit more real than just sending them just these cold pitched messages that then are not doing anything good for your account anyway.
So true. Okay, I love that advice. It really feels like for you, you've achieved this success. Like you've found the way to be successful. And not only as like you tick a lot of boxes. You're young, you are a person who came to this country as an immigrant, and you are a business leader with a person who has a advanced degree in business. And so you have a lot of different things that have contributed to your success. And there are so many people out there who just feel like they can't achieve their dreams. It's just not working out for them. So what do you say to those people who feel like it can't work for them? Even people who have maybe even a leg up or more advantages, who just can't make it work. And someone like you came from just like a young person and an immigrant person and like all these different things that could be considered like stumbling blocks, which they're not, but you just didn't let anything stand in your way. So what do you say to people who feel like they just can't get it going?
I think it's all just, I'll be honest, just mindset blocks. And when you strengthen your mindset, and when you strengthen that, and when you say like the big picture, like for me, like I said, I love self-development. I love personal development. I love helping people with that, with the mindset blocks, to really get them to step into this new identity and say, I know I can do this. But when you also just think of what's the end goal, what's the impact you're looking to make. So when you think of it like that, and less than, oh my God, I need to get to this like level in my career. When you think about the end impact, saying like, oh, I want to do this because this is the legacy I want to leave behind, then everything else just seems very small and just very, wait, so I'm going to let this stop myself from doing this bigger thing, from achieving this bigger thing, then that the fear just diminishes like little by little. So when you add that with the mindset work, with really like the identity work, then it's like the perfect, like beautiful blend of it all.
It really is. I think all the things that you're talking about, putting your personality into your brand, expressing yourself, enjoying life intentionally, making your values a priority, setting your standards high. All of these things are all components of self-awareness and identity. And you really hit on that. People who seem to be achieving the most and attaining success are very self-aware.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's something I notice. And the personal development world is one to get involved in order to help you to develop your self-awareness. And you can just, like you said, listen to podcasts, find YouTube videos, buy books, or you can choose to work with a coach, to hire someone who can actually get like more directly there with you.
Yeah. Or maybe honestly, like what I said, it's always just like stepping stones. Like maybe it starts out by reading a book. It starts out by like listening to a podcast, and then maybe down the line you work with a coach because maybe you're not ready or you're like a little bit skeptical about it. That's fine. But there's a lot of free tools even available that you can start somehow. You can start, there's a way to start. I was 20 years old. I was working 2 jobs. I didn't have money to hire a coach, and I didn't even know that was a thing. It was when Instagram had first started being like coming up. So that wasn't something I knew was even a profession. I was just unaware because that's, like I said, not taught in schools, not taught in my family. So I didn't know. So I went to the library, got myself a book and started reading it. So, and that's pretty much how that started. So there's a lot of, especially now, there's a lot more free information out now than when I first started getting into self-development.
There's so much information out there.
Yeah.
Education is free. It's available for you.
Yeah.
And you have to be looking in the right places. Like you have to be very discerning. You have to understand information that's coming from a reliable source and kind of vet what you're looking at. But there's a lot of such amazing information out there.
Yeah.
All right. So I noticed one thing that I really love about you and your branding is the lemon.
Yeah.
So what do the lemons symbolize?
Okay, so it's funny because this was years ago. I love clothes. I love fashion. I always say that. So I was looking, I remember Dolce & Gabbana did this whole lemon theme printed sundress, and I immediately fell in love. So Dolce & Gabbana obviously is a very Italian brand. They're very like it's loud, it's fun. And it's funny because I'm pretty much neutral, like the neutral queen. So I was like, this is so fun. I'm like, this is so cute. I love the prints. And then it just snowballed. I started buying like a lemon print journal, a lemon print, I don't know, phone case. And it built up over the years. And I always just shared it on Instagram and people liked it. So I said, okay, people also like this. I'm like, sure. So I just went with it. And again, through the years, it just snowballed into me buying everything lemon print. And then when I started my consulting business, when I started on LinkedIn, again, I said, well, I'm not going to be different on here because to me, that's weird. I said, I built a whole personal brand. Like I always share lemon and tile print. I'm like, why wouldn't I carry that through? To me, it would be very weird if my business aesthetic wouldn't match my personal aesthetic. So whenever people are like, oh, you have to live and breathe your brand, for me, it's like, yeah, of course, but that's so easy because everything I already own already has lemon print. I just carried that through online. So that was how the lemon thing started. But obviously it's a piece like of my culture. Like I think of the Amalfi Coast, although I'm not from that area, I love all of the pottery and the lemons. It's something that I love. And for me, like even going to buy the pottery and sharing it on Instagram just made sense because I said, okay, this is how I started on here. So this feels like the perfect fit. And then on LinkedIn, I said, you know what? I'm adding an emoji next to my name. And I said, I obviously have to add the lemon emoji. And it worked out perfect because it stands out. It's yellow. And one of the biggest conversation starters on LinkedIn has been, I love the lemon emoji, or what does the lemon emoji mean? So I said, you know what? I don't care if people don't think it's quote unquote professional. It's cute. It's me and I'm keeping it.
Definitely. But for me, when I looked at the lemon, I was like, you know what it says to me is zest.
Yeah.
It's like
So
the lemon zest. It's zest.
exactly.
It's you. You're zesty.
Exactly. So I have that all over my branding, even on LinkedIn. It's adding like some zest to LinkedIn. Yes, we're doing that.
Yep. It's beautiful. Do you think having a symbol is a good idea to associate yourself with as a brand?
I think so. And it's funny because you don't even have to think that hard about it. Like for me, like you just heard the story of my lemon and just snowballed. But I remember when I started LinkedIn, I said, oh, I really like the idea of adding an emoji. So at first I was like, oh, I could add a star. But then I said, no, why are we doing this? And I have the lemon. I'm like, we're keeping it consistent. And I don't care if the star was maybe more professional. It is what it is.
You're the lemon. I love that.
I'm the lemon girl. That's
You're
it.
the lemon girl. It's beautiful. It's really cool. I think it's amazing. And it's just a great thing. I love that it's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
All right. Now you got me thinking about all the emojis. Which one am I? I always use the plant, like the sprout.
Yes.
But that's like other people use that. But I always feel like that's what I know.
I'll be honest. I've seen a lot of people. I know.
I have to find one that's different. I have to go in there. Maybe a piece of candy.
Yeah. Yes.
A lollipop. I don't know. I'll find something. So going back to a little bit on Instagram, I always wonder about this. How important is it to have your quote grid locked down and looking all branded? Because on one thing I noticed on yours was you don't have on your grid any words. It's all photos with I'm always putting the cover photo on with a caption. Usually on mine, it has words, but you don't use words. So is there a reason for that? And what do you think about the Instagram grid thing?
I think it depends on what you're looking to build on Instagram. So I have 2 Instagram pages. So my more business focused page, I have the words on it because it's just easier for people to know what the video they're about to watch is going to be about. What I typically don't do is I don't create specialized covers for them. I just use whatever like it is from the video, or I'll take a screenshot from the actual video and use that, but I don't make it as epic. And the reason why is that sometimes people can get a little intimidated by it because it like almost looks too perfect. So that's what I found. Like I tested both because initially I wanted everything to be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. And then I just saw that the videos that didn't have those kind of special covers that I made on Canva would just perform better. And I said, okay, if these are doing better, then what am I even wasting my time to do? I had to just let go of that perfection aesthetic that I wanted to just give. And then for my personal kind of like lifestyle page on Instagram, then it's not business focused. So I just post photos because obviously like I try to make them like nice looking, and I try to, make, I guess, more of an aesthetic, but it's very lighthearted. I'm sharing like style stuff, I'm sharing travel stuff. So I'm not selling anything on there. It's maybe like I got an influencer partnership, but I'm not actually like selling any of my coaching, versus my business page where I'm talking about LinkedIn, where I'm talking about self-development. Then that one I have the cover. So then someone wants to just learn more about one specific topic, then it's very easy for them to find the right video that they should be watching. So that's how I typically break that up.
Okay. I love that advice. That's good. So you love fashion, and I see you wearing all these really beautiful clothes, and I love to see what you're wearing. And when you talk about this, you also seem to be a person who advocates for getting dressed up. Get dressed. You don't have to look fancy, but just get dressed. Get yourself together.
Yes.
What do you think that does for you when you are able to embrace that?
So for me, like this has been a big one for self-development,
Mm,
especially because I always think, oh, I'll save that for like when I'm going out, or I'll
yeah.
save that. And I don't know if that's something that I've learned from my mom or just like other people, but like it's always like saving everything. And then I'm like, this is my work. So, first of all, I'm just going to wear it because I feel good when I wear something that I love. I present myself better. I speak better. There's a different level of confidence when you're wearing something that you feel like 100%. And that doesn't mean that you have to be, I don't know, in a ball gown or in a suit, but maybe like it's wearing like your favorite sweater, or maybe
Mhm.
it's wearing, I don't know, a cute like matching set that's really pretty, and like you feel like maybe a little bit fancier. And it's just making everything in your life like just like taking it up a notch. Just saying, okay, I can work from home, but I don't have to be looking like a slob, like I'm ready to like, I don't know, clean the house. That's the
Yep.
example I do. Like I can treat myself a little bit better. Like maybe having a cute matching sweatpants set. I'm still comfortable, but I look a little bit more put together, that even if I have to run out and get the mail, I'm not like running in because I'm in pajamas or sweatpants. Like I look a little bit more presentable. But what that does to your mindset is just, it's amazing. It's going to
I
really
love
help
it.
you to just show up differently because you feel better. Like you feel like you have more self worth because you are getting dressed. You are presenting yourself how you would want to present because you feel like you have importance. And you're saying, like, okay, I'm important and I value that. So I'm going to, I don't know, get a cute Amazon set and show up in that way instead. And like I'll feel better because when I look in the mirror, like I'll look better. So it's like a lot of times, like you were saying, oh, it's all the inner work. Obviously, it's all inner work and mindset work. But when you do something to also showcase that in the outside, it's going to make it a lot easier to do the inner work when you have something. So whether it's wearing a cute outfit, that was for me, or some people, they're like, you know what, the outfit thing doesn't do it, but I love to wear makeup. And they're like, I'll do my makeup every morning. For me, it was more about the clothing. So there's, I don't know, something about having some part of the outside world also just reflect what you want to create inside. That's just going to make it easier.
Yes, what a beautiful place to land the plane today. I love that. And then we've just been talking all about this authenticity, alignment, self awareness. It's just a whole theme, and it's really a beautiful conversation. As I wrap up, I like to ask all of my guests to
Mhm.
tell me what are their biggest lessons and blessings in life. Let's start with the lessons. Can you give us one of your biggest life lessons?
Biggest life lesson is, I would say, not really like get in your own way. I don't know. Just don't be so focused on the fear of things, and just having a little bit more like faith and just trusting that you like if I always feel if you're meant to be doing something, if you're thinking about it and you're like, yeah, I really want to do something, then you're meant to be doing that. So just having that mindset of saying, no, I'm meant for this versus I don't know, I'm scared, is just, to me, that was a game changer.
Yeah, I love that. And what about your blessings? What's your biggest blessing in life?
My biggest blessing in life, I think having that discipline has been like such like a blessing, because I think it made things just a lot easier because I was very disciplined as a person.
Yeah, discipline, self-discipline, and that's really a commitment to
Yeah,
yourself. It's making a
exactly.
commitment to yourself to being the best version of you.
Yeah, I always say
Well,
self-discipline is self-love.
it is. It really, truly is. Thank you, Diane, for being here today. I have loved this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I hope you have a great day.
Hey, everybody still listening, will you go give a 5-star review to this podcast? Mitzi puts in so much effort and so much love into this. She's brilliant. She deserves it. So I am going to go right now. By the way, by the time you hear this and you go give your 5-star review, you should be able to go find my 5-star review of this podcast. But I just want to thank you for what you're doing.